Take a load off and grab a seat. Pull up a chair, prop up your feet. That's fine by me. Fine by me. Yeah. It's podcast time.
All right, fine by me.
Fine by us.
Fine by us. Fine by double.
Yeah,
us
we're just
two.
going to get right into it. Welcome to another episode.
Of
By me.
Fine by me. There we go. We missed
we're
Nick
missing
on
a character
vacation.
this week. He's in Ohio somewhere.
He's become the newest. He's cleaning Harambe's exhibit and shrine at the Cincinnati Zoo. So he's on mission doing that.
I was
He's
gonna
a
say,
Fine by Me mission trip.
are we going to be able to make it a thing to where we bring up Harambe at least once every episode? It's got to be like snuck in.
And the thing is, dude, I didn't even really like follow the Harambe deal when it happened. Like I was out of the social media loop then. Like I just I obviously knew like what it was referring to, but like I don't like the R.I.P. Harambe and like him up in the clouds with like all the Happy Gilmore characters at the end, and
Yeah.
all the memes were great. But
Yeah.
I didn't get too emotionally involved in Mr. Harambe.
I didn't either. What was that, 2012 or
A
something?
long time ago, dude. I guess that's probably
2015?
why. Like I had infant children then, so maybe I didn't have time for Harambe.
2016.
I was getting shit thrown at me at the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't. I mean, it was a year before I moved to Nashville, and there was a lot of things that happened in that year before I moved to Nashville. So,
Yeah, 2012, I was still climbing poles and working
2016,
hurricanes.
2016.
2016, oh yeah,
Yeah.
2016, I was going through it, dude.
Yeah,
I wish it
yeah,
wasn't. Yeah, I definitely wasn't. I didn't give a shit about Harambe.
yeah. I was gonna say I
With all
remember
due
seeing the
respect.
memes and stuff, but I definitely did not look into it as much as I would have now had it happened now. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just now, dude. It's crazy how like I was telling the kids about that the other day because I have a teenager and then a preteen, so we were talking about like phone time and like screen time and like how I can see like the effects in real time, like on the days that they're not so much on electronics and the days that they're not even thinking about it, and it's almost like daylight and dark, like how like their moods are at nighttime, like all that stuff. Like not that they're looking at anything negative, but it's almost like it's a part of their like self, like like an extra
like are
appendage
they
or whatever.
more irritable
More,
with or
not more of
without?
that, but like not as like conversational, like you know what I mean, like not as like um engaged, I guess, like
Oh,
with
like
like
when they
what
have their
we're
phone?
yeah, like or even like after, like you can tell like when they've been on it a lot, like they're like more tired, like more like like they're I guess like their
Yeah, I
brains
mean it's a
tired.
big. There's nothing to shake at with all those studies with look us
Yeah.
looking at screens all day and like I do for work and everybody does with their phones all day every
Your
day or
eye fatigue.
whatever.
Like I think about like these kids like with these tablets in their face, like at school, like they're at school or anywhere now, like in at home, like it's like the easiest babysitter of all time. Like I hate to say that, but sometimes like when you are doing stuff, like it's easy to give
Yeah,
your kid the iPad or whatever, and everybody's guilty of it. Like I don't know of
yeah,
anybody nowadays that hasn't done it, but you can just like not that they get irritable or whatever, but like I was trying to tell them how whenever we were younger, like we had to like make an effort to see somebody or talk to somebody, or like you really had to like put the work in, like get out of the house or make a phone call that you had to wait on the phone. Like if you had siblings, like if you had one phone in the house, like you had to wait to use the phone. Like we didn't get to use like answer phone calls during dinner. And we didn't even like eat as
yeah,
a family, perhaps, but like like that, like between 6 and 8, people just didn't call the house. That was anybody. So like we had that time with family and we would talk about, whatever, or just, watch a football game or any of that stuff and just
yeah.
talk,
I
and
was
like,
gonna say I remember every time because it would rarely happen that somebody would call around whenever we were at the dinner table.
yeah,
And I remember every time Dad would be like, "Who the heck is calling right now?"
We just sit down to eat dinner. I tell you what, yeah, it's the time, and like now, like, and of course, some people aren't near as bad as others, and like people think you need to be so easily accessible all the time. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, like you'll like get like, well, I've been trying to call you today. Like, oh yeah, sorry, you didn't leave a voicemail or you didn't text me after. Like, well, you didn't call me back. Like, yeah, I just didn't feel like talking on the phone. Like, like used to, you could get away with that. You're like, well, I just wasn't home to answer it, or
yeah.
or like
I will say now, new couples like you share your location with each other, or some people do,
right.
and like all this. I kind of get it. Like for your kids, maybe whenever
Yeah, dude, like
you're
Life
married or
360
whatever,
or
and
whatever.
if you and your significant other are both busy and could literally be anywhere at any time, it might be helpful to know where they are or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I remember I didn't really. The closest friend that lived to me was probably a couple miles away, so it was probably longer than that. So it was a bike ride or a golf cart trip, depending
Yeah.
on what age I was at the time. But I remember being at my buddy's house that lived in town in Scottsville, and we'd call once and they didn't answer. Like, they're probably outside, and we just ride down.
Yeah, dude.
And they would be,
Yeah.
they'd probably be outside most of the time. They'd be
Right.
outside, like on a trampoline, or they were out front of their house also riding bikes or whatever.
Yeah, we were either outside. We would play like pick up like baseball games with like a tennis ball and
Yeah.
like just old little league bat, just like, we wouldn't have any gloves or nothing. We'd just get 4 or 5 dudes together. And you'd either, if you didn't have enough, I mean, all you'd have to have is three, maybe. You could have somebody pitch the whole time and you just, have like ghost runners. Like I remember we used to, like, we got a
Yeah.
ghost runner on second and third. Like, you hit
Yeah.
the
Oh,
ball or
I remember
whatever.
doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they like, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I don't see the imagination like spark as much. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to be as creative with like what they're doing, and
We don't have to anymore.
that's what I'm
Especially these
saying.
days, you've
You
got
don't have to.
Chat GPT and everything. If you can't imagine it, you just tell Chat GPT to imagine it, and bam, it's right there in front of you.
Whether it's good or not.
Yeah,
It might be just plumb dog shit, whatever
AI
the
or whatever.
product
Yeah,
is. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, I think it's definitely, I think obviously that stuff is good for certain things, like it definitely makes certain things easier. But I think too, it's really made it to like where we're not very good at talking to each other. Like just general, I think just human to
yeah.
human interaction,
I was gonna say. I mean, remember, like, I know this has probably come up before, and probably a different reason why it came up, but I remember seeing somebody that was homeschooled at the fair. And I'd be like, "Where are you from?" And they're like, "Oh, I live here." And I'm like, "No, you don't. You don't. I mean, I ain't never seen you
I've
at
never
school."
seen you before, dude. There's 300 people in
And
our
they're like,
class.
"Oh, I'm homeschooled," and they would be the weirdest people ever
Yeah.
to talk to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying really anything bad. It was obvious that they
Homeschool
weren't.
kids nowadays are a lot different than the homeschool kids from back in our day. I'll tell
Yeah,
you right now. Like it's a whole, because now everybody's so connected. It's not that much like you're missing out on like culture things or like,
yeah.
inside jokes or like what's trending or whatever. So I
You could
think
just tell like the homeschool kids.
sheltered,
They're like dogs that aren't socialized. Like you're like,
right?
this person could snap at any moment. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, you never know. They're unpredictable.
it's like a pit bull that's been in a fighting rink for all of its life and it gets taken out to the fair.
Right. You gotta put a muzzle. You gotta put a muzzle on it, dude. Like, don't pet the dog. Leave him alone. Just he's got to get used to everybody first.
Yeah, yeah.
Let him get used. You been doing any dog sitting? I know this has been kind of quiet back there behind you.
Yeah, no, no, I haven't had one.
Wes has a side. He moonlights as a dog sitter.
Yeah, well, I don't ever ask for money for it. I got a couple of them
Charity.
that,
Charity work.
yeah, I got a couple of them that end up sneaking $50 or somewhere, and then I find it months down the road, and I'm like, well, I'm not hunting you down to give you this money back. So,
What if they put it like where like something that you're supposed to use every day was, and like the next time they come back, it's still there. Like, ooh, this nasty mother. Like it was by his face lotion. I put it underneath his face lotion.
I don't know
No,
that
I got a new lotion.
face
I got a
lotion.
I wasn't gonna say something like toothpaste, implying that you don't brush your teeth. That'd be a little rude because I know you do. But
Well,
that'd be something or like soap, but like underneath like your shampoo or something.
there's like a meme or something, or a picture, whatever image on the internet that I've seen. He was like, I went over to my Indian friend's house and he rubber banded a $20 bill to the back of his deodorant and it was still there like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like that. Yeah, like what the? Ugh. Yeah, man.
Oh man, Ed Gein, you've been at Monster Ed Gein.
Yeah, the new
What
trending
there's
show.
so
I'm
far been
sure
a
it's everywhere.
Dahmer and a Bundy,
The Mendez
Mendez,
brothers.
yeah,
No, I'm Menendez, not
Menendez,
Mendez. I
yeah,
don't get that confused with Shawn Mendes, the pop singer.
yeah,
But yeah, dude, I didn't like Christie's really big into like all that like true crime, serial killer stuff. So like I hear it kind of in the background of my life all the time. So I kind of like just like subconsciously or me like barely paying attention. Like I know who Ed Gein is, but I didn't know like in detail. Like I know that like serial killers like um emulated him. He was very infamous. Like the movie Psycho that Alfred Hitchcock did with Norman Bates as the character and stuff. That was like loosely based on Ed Gein, like
yeah.
all that. But dude,
Of course, Texas Chainsaw.
yeah, all that. So like whenever we first started watching it, I was expecting like I don't know, like this almost like bigger than life, like savage, like predatory figure, or whatever. Well, it's portrayed by Charlie Hunnam, who is Jax Teller in Sons of Anarchy. And I'm not going to give any spoilers or nothing, but Ed Gein had a high pitched voice, like, and I didn't know that, like, really. And
Yeah.
whenever he first started talking, dude, I did bust out laughing because it was just like so, it caught me off guard because he talks like this. Hey, yes, mother, yes. And it's like, but he's obviously, I think that obviously he's a misunderstood fella,
Yeah.
but I will say he's a sociopath. He just doesn't see what he's doing is wrong, like
Yeah. I
he's
was
like
gonna say I don't
so
wanna I
normal about
haven't
it.
I'm only like halfway through the first episode. I just haven't really been in a good spot to
Yeah,
dive into it, whatever you want to say. But I know the story pretty well back to front, or front to back, whatever way you
front
want to
to
read
back,
it.
side to side.
Um,
He did it any way he could.
yeah. But I got halfway through it, and for that, this isn't really a spoiler if you know anything about it. There's a little bit of like German ties with Ed Gein and whatnot.
Yes, yes.
You kind of start seeing like SS soldiers start talking, and then it's like this was on Sunday, and I was like half napping, and I was like, all right, I can't read subtitles right now.
His
Like,
mom was German, I'm pretty sure,
yeah,
or like one removed maybe, like her parents come over on a boat or whatever. But yeah, that and it was like right after World War II, so like all that stuff like really piqued his interest and kind of set him off.
yeah,
It's some wild stuff. We got through. I was telling Wes before we started recording that we watched 2 episodes last night, and I had to stop and I had to watch Austin Powers International Man of Mystery before bed. I couldn't. I had to get the Shaguar
yeah.
going on in my head and not whatever Ed Gein was up to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I've never, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about like gore and stuff really
Hmm.
bothering us or bothering me nowadays or whatever, talking about
Yeah.
Hostel and stuff like
We
that.
watched Hostel last week. Christy had a vacation day, dude, and she put Hostel on, and I was like, I'm not going to watch this. And I sit down and watch you just can't look away. I
Yeah,
watched the whole movie.
it's
It's
still too much for me, but I remember the Bundy one. I don't think it was the Monster Bundy, it was the one with, or no, Dahmer.
Dahmer. Yeah, I couldn't watch
That
it.
was I remember being on episode 2 or 3 of it and just being so uncomfortable. Like, holy crap! Like,
No, this one, buckle up, because yeah, dude, it's just off-putting, man. But like it just goes to show you, like you don't ever know what is like going on in
yeah, in
somebody
somebody's
else's
head
head. You
or
never know,
anything
dude.
else.
Because dude, he was like until a point, I'm sure, but like pretty like functioning adult. Like he didn't.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was ever said if like I mean, the way they portray him in the movies, obviously he's got some kind of cognitive disability. You know,
Yeah,
like on
dude. His mom
some.
probably took Tylenol.
Did they have Tylenol in the 40s? I don't know.
Maybe they had aspirin. I know that
They had cocaine, that's for sure. They put that in everything. So
they had methamphetamines
yeah.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there was something off, and then it just yeah, something triggered him and went off the incredible
Yeah,
deep
man.
end that you could possibly go off of, I guess. But I think what I was asking you what we were talking about before we started recording. And I think what I was thinking of was the first time I saw him walk in, the Sons of Anarchy guy playing Ed Gein.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like, all I can think of was it Jax Teller or whatever his name,
yeah.
and him,
Jax Taylor.
and he has that big like sway, like that
That
sashay on.
huge vest on and that baggy flannel shirt and the
Yeah.
baggy pants with the chain wallet.
I was like, it's so hard to see him play Ed Gein in this.
He does.
I,
I mean, you can't even unless you like know it's him. Like you would never know it was a Jax Teller. You know what I mean?
yeah, I didn't look it up because I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to take this seriously or not. Because that was another thing that was throwing me off was that's all I saw personally
The
was
voice kind of, but it definitely goes off the rails pretty quick. You realize like, oh, okay, that voice isn't very welcoming. Like,
yeah.
and his mom is the aunt from Roseanne, so that's pretty funny too.
Oh, I thought she looked familiar.
Yeah, yeah, and she is a rascal, I'll tell you. He's a rascal too.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a house full of rapscallions.
I was gonna say his brother was the other kind of rascal, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a womanizer.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. He was a character himself. I think the dad was a drunk or like an alcoholic, and he was kind of like no good and was bad to him. He
yeah,
kind of left on him, or was forced out by the mom,
yeah. I was gonna say I think the mom was
Roseanne's
a real
sister.
strong, I mean, strong-willed lady and
Yeah, well,
made
like I
him
said,
leave
I think that
basically.
like everybody back then was like hardened, like after the depression and shit. Like I think about like my grandparents were born in the 30s and they would tell like they had just missed it. And I remember like my grandmother telling stories of my great grandfather like not being able to find work. Like there really was like there was nothing. And like they had like the Dust Bowl happen around the same time and like
Yeah,
there was like no food, like nothing. Like they were eating horses, whatever they could eat. So I think that, they say that like World War II fighters, like those guys and like they went out to fight and all like their wives and stuff that stayed home and like worked in the factories. They say that's the greatest generation, but there's a lot of historians that say like they were the greatest generation because they had to be. Like
yeah,
it was either that or, just pretty much starve or let Hitler take over the world. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Survival of the fittest, that's for sure.
Yeah, like there was no like they didn't have a choice. So
Well,
like they
that and
just had
then
to
I
come
mean,
together.
I guess it was a kind of a decent. I mean, I don't. We've talked about it before. What caught? I think it was the gold standard, and then the
Yeah.
bank, and all of that kind of forced the depression, or were
Yeah,
big
the Roaring
proponents for
Twenties
it.
were like really, like a time of excess. So people lived like like everything was going good, and people like were living like above their means and like party, like celebrate. Like it was just a good time. Like the Industrial Revolution. Like they had just got rid of the Gilded Age, got some of those like robber barons they called them, like the Vanderbilts and the
Yeah,
Rockefellers, kind of busted that up, and it was like a time of like prosperity. And then like Prohibition hit, and like like that slowed stuff down. Then you had all the crime in your big cities and stuff, and the bootleg and um, I guess like black market kind of deals. And then I think it was the Dust Bowl maybe, but I don't really know what triggered the Great Depression. Like I think it was like 1933 maybe 34.
something that we've talked about in the past, or one of my
It was
conspiracy
several
things I
factors
brought up.
that
Yeah.
that played into it, but I don't. I just
Oh,
say I
the
don't.
stock market crash. That was
A
right.
stock
That was
market
one of
crash, yeah.
that was the thing that I talked about was there was these like two or three people that caused something in October of 29 called Black Thursday.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they basically took all this money out and then that just like
Trying to short it or something.
yeah, they were trying to short it. I don't remember exactly. But that was like the biggest thing. And of course, like there were wars and everything else
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
we had just got out of World War One. Then
Yeah,
the Spanish flu. Was like right like it's the same time.
yeah,
Everybody was like pretty much living and I guess just living loose in the
yeah,
20s. You know what I mean? Like the Great Gatsby. Think about that. That was that time period. You
yeah.
know.
I mean, it was good. I mean, like I said, not good, but I mean, for the folks that didn't have any money or no way to feed themselves or whatever, I guess it was like there was a lot of people that, voluntarily went into the war so they could
Well, I know
go,
like around
hey,
here,
you're
like
going to get fed being a
right.
soldier as
Yeah, you're
much
getting
as,
3 meals a day
yeah, and then you're able to send money back home or
for your
whatever
family.
for your family. So
I
that's
think
what,
that was a lot of it. I think a lot of it too was just a sense of like wanting something better, and it was the times old thing of good versus evil. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like in a
yeah,
way
it was
too.
also during a time whenever people were, um, unabashedly like proud of their country. Like they
Right.
would gladly, pick up a gun and go fight for their country.
Yeah,
Whereas,
dude, like they actually felt like they were fighting for a cause, like something that really mattered.
yeah, whereas
Yeah.
today, I don't know. I mean, there's people that feel like that today, but it's a lot
I mean,
less, I would say.
I definitely love it, but I mean, it's just it's the leaders, you know what I mean? It's like those
Well, I think
guys,
it's
like you're like,
that's the big thing too, is now we have all this information and we know most of these wars we've been in that we fought in lost hundreds of thousands of American lives for
for
things
no
that
reason at all.
we weren't really involved in and could have avoided altogether. And they were for things like oil or gold, or was it for like some grand, like, pat yourself on the back because you killed the bad guy thing? It was
Right,
more
or yeah,
of,
stop tyranny,
we don't really care if this guy dies or not, but we're going to go over there and we're going to take his oil. We're going to take all the gold stashes he's got.
Call it a regime change, as
Yeah,
they say.
yeah.
We're good at
We all
those.
are have the blinders taken off now, and we're like, well, we're going to war again. What for? X,
Money,
Y, and
we need
Z.
money.
Yeah,
Wars make money. If you win, dude, that's the thing. Is like war's good and all, but if you don't win, like it's not very good.
yeah. Or you're stuck in these proxy wars, or
Or
you know,
like you're in a country like us, like say like us. Like I know like a lot of other countries aren't very favorable of the US of A because of things like you just said.
yeah,
So we get doled right in there with them as citizens of this country, being from here.
yeah,
So if that's how we're perceived as the world image too. So I think about like after World War II, the Germans that like were just like citizens of the country. You know what I mean? Like they weren't like in the SS or like weren't Nazis. Were just like your normal person just trying to survive. You know, they were like for 8 or 10 years, man, like they were treated terrible, like all over Europe. You
yeah.
know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean? So like that's what I think about too, is like, you got to kind of think about which side of history you want to be on, because especially now the way information travels so much, it's light speeds. So it's
Yeah,
just
it's
something I
it's
think about.
also depending on what you do, or especially if you're a big figurehead on something. And I'd say this about either side, doesn't matter what flag you wave or whatever, is
What color you
somebody,
like?
no matter what is going to happen, if you've got a microphone in front of you, majority of your day, you're eventually going to word something poorly.
We do it
And if
every
you
week.
word something poorly enough, you'll not stop hearing about that in this day and time for
Ever.
maybe until re-election, and then you probably still. I mean, I still say stuff Bush said back when.
I quote it every day, something. You know
Now
what I
watch this
mean?
drive.
Watch this. Now check out this drive.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
So I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, there's been several things Trump has said, Biden said, all of them have said that you're like, what was going through their mind whenever this left their mouth? Like,
Yeah, dude. And then you have to remember too, man, at the end of the day, they're human as well
yeah,
too. And at the end of the day, dude, like I tell everybody, they're elected officials. Like I don't understand why people get so upset. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, policy or whatever, it can be your way, but we can still like disagree and move on. Like, you know what I mean? Like what we do has nothing to do with what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really. So, like, I think about that. Like, like at the end of the day, dude, they're no more than your county judge executive. Like, they're just the county judge executive for the country. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
And just 20 levels higher or 50 levels higher
yeah,
or whatever it
you know
is.
what I mean? Like, like they still have to campaign in 2 or 3 years. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they still got to get reelected. So we're not like other countries that are like Japan or even like a lot of these countries that plan out like 50 or 100 years out. You know what I mean? Like ours is 4 to 8 years. It's liable to change, like totally change.
Japan just speaking of that, they got a new their first lady president or
Mm.
whatever their leader is.
Yeah,
And everybody, I guess over here, like there was obviously the feminist crowd. They were like, "Oh, finally, like there's a woman leader in a very prominent country." Well, she's very conservative,
yeah.
thinks
It's
pretty
Japan.
highly of the H man,
Oh
Hitler.
gosh.
I
Well,
don't know much about her yet. I haven't really read much, but I was like, I've read a brief article like a couple days ago. They were like, "Yeah, it's great. There's finally a woman on the main stage, and here's why the whatever Japan's version of the left is so concerned about her being elected." And I was like, "Oh, that's probably some pretty
it's all over the world.
concerns."
Everybody's upset about something. But dude, a third of Japan's population is over like 65 years old. Like they're a dying
Yeah.
population. You know what I mean? Like, so it's might need to loosen up, get somebody a little liberal in there, have a little bit of baby population going up. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't think that's what the liberals are about over here. I mean,
Well, I think that's just, well, I
liberals
don't
over
know.
here preach for, women to have a job, which is fine, obviously, but like kids should be an afterthought, is kind of what the
Yeah,
left preach for women on the left, at least. And then also being very big abortion proponents.
the bigger the better. The bigger the better. That's what
But
they say.
so I don't think the left is going to help anybody have any babies. Conservatives right now, here at least, are the ones who are trying to push for more babies, at least. But either way, well, I mean, what about Zelensky? He's supposed to have already had a election, and he's been like putting it off or something.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
don't keep up, dude. I quit keeping up with Eastern Russian or Eastern European politics, dude.
Either it's coming up or it should have already happened or
Because
something.
they had one a couple years ago, right? And he kept it open or kept his stuff because they were like in wartime or whatever. Isn't that
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that was a big to do. That's not good. It's supposed to be a
Mm-mm.
democracy. We don't like that.
Yeah. Well, he was also, I mean, guess it's the same. It's funny that they don't like each other. The two TV stars that are now leaders of countries on the world stage don't
Man.
like each other.
Well, dude, this is an excellent segue to another. He was a star of the theater. He would have been a TV star
Oh, yeah.
nowadays, but he did quite a big move in the name of history, I think.
Confederate sympathizer.
I'm not that, but I will
Oh,
say he definitely changed the course of history for the country.
who are you
He
talking
was.
about?
I'm not. He was. I thought you said I
Oh,
was. No, John Wilkes Booth is who we're talking about.
yeah, a Confederate sympathizer.
Yeah, he was big time. His brother wasn't, man. His brother was like a big time, like a lead act. Like John Wilkes Booth would be like he was a big supporting guy. Like did a bunch of like stunts, like action stuff. Like that's what he was known for. So he'd be kind of like a Benicio del Toro of
Yeah.
today's time. You know what I mean? Like really, really good, but like he wasn't as famous as like his dad or his brother,
Mm-hmm.
but still famous in his own right. But
Like one of that Baldwin brother.
yes, yeah, that one's in Full Metal Jacket nobody ever talks about.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hit. There's another show. It's called Manhunt. It's on Apple TV, and it's a limited series that follows the aftermath of the Lincoln assassination through John Wilkes Booth point of view, and like everything else going on kind of around it. Like in that area on both sides, and also like what was happening within the cabinet at the time too, like just mass chaos as you could imagine. So John Wilkes Booth assassinated President Abraham Lincoln on April the I have the date. I want to make sure I get the date right.
It was on a Friday.
April 14th, 1865,
Yeah.
at the Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. And he hadn't even planned on doing it that very night, but he found out at the bar drinking with a guy that was a Union sympathizer, and like he was fussing about how he couldn't believe that the country was just going to be open to all these newly freed people. He didn't use those words, but
Mm.
all these newly freed people. Then he realized that this guy worked for Abraham Lincoln as a private security, and he was going to be security for Lincoln during the play. So he found out that during that time that pretty much there wasn't going to be any guard up there around Lincoln because that guy, like he said, once Lincoln got to his seat, he didn't have to like pretty much do anything else. He knew he was safe. Like they were, and it was like
Yeah.
this was only like 5 days after the surrender at Appomattox. So, dude, you can imagine emotions are high, all over
Yeah.
because the way the South looked at it is that by freeing all the slaves, that the United States government was taking their pretty much livelihood away. That was like their way of, making their whole economy was pretty much built on, slave labor, cotton production, etc. Sugar, crops, all that.
Hmm.
So they were upset about that, obviously. So he decided they had this plan working together, and he was staying in a boarding house that was owned by a woman named Mary Surratt. And her husband was James Surratt, who started Surrattville, Maryland, who was a big time Confederate guy. His son, James Surratt Jr., was a spy for the Confederate Secret Service and also a friend uh,
JWB.
John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah.
So they had already been conspiring for quite a while to do something. Like they were going to either kidnap him or, try to topple the whole top of the government. So that night they had planned on John Wilkes Booth was going to attempt to assassinate Lincoln. Then they were going to send two other guys over to the Secretary of State's. I'm sorry, yeah, the Secretary of State's house, which was William Seward, and they were going to kill him. And then they had a person set up in the hotel where Andrew Johnson, the vice president, was staying, and was going to kill him too. So they were going to topple the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the way that the night started out is two guys rode over to William Seward's house and were disguised as like guys that worked at like the pharmacy or like worked for like this doctor because just days before William Seward had a runaway carriage and had to jump from the carriage, and it really messed him up pretty bad. He was like in a neck brace and was all this stuff pretty much in the bed, like stuck
Mm.
in the bed trying to recover. So this guy goes to the door, knocks on the door, and he's like, I have all this like medicine and these bandages and stuff for the secretary. I need to take them to him. Well, they just let him right in because he had the stuff. Well, he goes up there and just starts stabbing everybody, dude. He just starts killing everybody in the house or tries to. Well, he goes to stab Secretary Seward and he has that neck brace on, and it just like misses like all of his like jugular and all those arteries and cuts his chin really, really bad. Like it hurts him pretty bad, but he lives. And the guy at the hotel that was going to kill Vice President Johnson lost his nerve and he turned himself in. He's like, so he turned himself in. This is what gets John Wilkes Booth in trouble because he follows through with what he does, shoots President Lincoln, yells out "Sic Semper Tyrannis," jumps off the balcony, breaks his leg, runs out. Well, he has a horse waiting for him. Whenever he gets out, he gets off. Well, he runs out of town on the horse. Well, he gets to the bridge to go across the river into Virginia, and there's Union soldiers there, and they're like, "Hey, man, bridge closes at 9 o'clock. That's the curfew. You can't get across." And he's like, "No, man, I have to get across." He's like, "Well, you should have left before 9 o'clock." So like he's like arguing with this like toll keeper that won't let him across. Well, finally he recognized who he is. Like, "Hey, man," he's like, "Do I know you?" He's like, "Well, you might." He said, "I'm kind of embarrassed, but you might know who I am. I'm kind of famous." And he's like, "Yeah, you're that guy that's in those plays." He goes, "I thought you'd be a lot bigger in real life," because he was a little bitty guy. So that kid was like, whatever. So he ends up talking him in to saying he needed to go see his girlfriend across the river, and that dude lets him through. So he gets through, gets to like Maryland. He ends up having to get to Maryland, and he has like a guide there that like they had hired before, and they hide out in the woods for a couple of days, and he meets this doctor named Doctor Mudd, who's also a Confederate sympathizer, and he holds up there for a day or two. And his leg's broken bad, so they fashion a splint. Well, obviously, he tells him he needs to rest for like 2 months because it's a broken fibula, the I guess that bottom bone.
Yeah.
Tells him he needs to rest for a couple of months. He's like, dude, I ain't got 2 months. I got to get to Canada. Like he's trying to get to Montreal, Canada.
All right, get out of Dodge.
He's I got to get out of here, or he's trying to either get there or get to Richmond, Virginia. So he ends up staying there for a couple of days. Well, the guy that turned himself in, they end up tying it all together, right? So Edwin Stanton, which was the Secretary of War at the time, and he was also like Lincoln's like confidant, like his best friend too. So he ends up like taking it into his own hands to like pretty much lead up this party to like find, John Wilkes Booth, co-conspirators, or whatever. So he ends up finding out that uh, Mary Surratt's board house was where he was staying. Goes, gets her, throws her in prison, and he's like interrogating her, and he's like, "We know your son is a spy for the Confederate Secret Service, but do you know where he's at? We're trying to figure out where John Wilkes Booth is at and all this stuff." And she's like, "I'm not going to tell you. I don't know what you're talking about." And then finally, she's like, "I'm not going to tell you. He's my son anyway. I wouldn't tell you if I did know." So like, dude, I think it's like they left her in the dark in like this dungeon, pretty much looking like prison. It's prison, 1865,
Yeah, I
in
was
the
gonna
dark.
say there was like a couple after obviously thing we all know kind of how this ends, but doesn't she end up kind of being on trial at the end and but they end up having to try another guy in order to get her as like
Yeah, yeah, it was. I think it was a sand. There was so many like co-conspirators, and like he was trying to. Secretary of War Stanton was trying to do everything right. He was really trying to preserve the Union, so he wanted to make sure everybody got due process. He didn't want to, he wanted to make sure because Andrew Johnson, the vice president, they were really afraid that he was going to be like a Confederate sympathizer. Like they thought, he could have had a hand in it for all they knew. You know what I mean? Because he didn't,
yeah,
hey, he didn't get harmed at all. Like the guy at the hotel that was going to get him just happened to lose his nerve. You know what I'm saying? So he was trying to do everything by the book. So when they went hunting for John Wilkes Booth, they finally hold him up. Like this was, I think, 12 days after the
was
assassination.
Andrew, he was same party line. He was Union prior to.
Well, he was a slave owner, and he at first he wasn't for the Emancipation Proclamation, but
Okay.
over time he sold his slaves or got rid of his slaves or whatever, and but he still had thoughts of thinking they were subhuman. Like he still wasn't a good character, but he knew what was right for the country too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
for
was just wondering
people, and for
what
people.
his so because it always, obviously there's been like a couple times in U.S. history or U.S. political history, I guess at least, where like the parties have kind of swapped. Like,
Yeah, this was one of them.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought Abe was technically a conservative or
Well,
Republican.
he was a Democrat for a while, then they switched over because the Democrats took this like they were called Copperhead Democrats, and that's like what John Wilkes Booth was. They said they were like the old like Southern Democrat, and they were
Yeah,
trying to like infiltrate like the North and stuff. And that's why a lot of them changed party lines
yeah, yeah.
because they didn't want to be tied into that. Excuse me.
That's I was gonna say that's another topic that's got several ins and outs to it, but Abe Lincoln and his vice president Johnson in this is one I always think about whenever because
Hmm.
yeah,
He went on later to be a senator for Tennessee, Johnson, after he didn't get reelected, obviously, for president. Because,
Yeah.
Ulysses S. Grant was a pretty popular figure
Yeah. Yeah.
right after that, And but whenever dude, they put out $100,000 reward for John Wilkes Booth. That's $2 million in today's money. So, I, I guess like it was so like long ago, and it was like
How much was it?
$100,000 back then, 2 million today.
Well, it's funny that the bounty on Kirk's killer was 100 grand in
Oh,
today's
really? In
money.
today's money. Yeah, so
Yeah.
think, dude, like they were
Yeah.
really like after this guy, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you think, dude, like right after the Civil War, like him killing Abraham Lincoln, dude, just think of like the country was already in shambles.
Yeah.
And like, he had a plan for reconstruction of the South, and what he was going to do is he was going to like there were a lot of people in the Union and in government that didn't want to give like anybody that was a Confederate sympathizer, especially a Confederate like leader or a usurper or whatever, like anything. They just wanted to hang them all. So President Lincoln was like, "We're going to imprison half the country." He's like, "We can't do that." He's like, "We got to welcome them back. Otherwise, we'll just stay split apart." So
Yeah.
they were really worried, like him dying, like it was really going to like really that the Confederate was going to take power again. Like they were worried the Confederate Army was going to try to like manipulate Wall Street, and they did for a while with the price of gold versus cotton.
Yeah.
Like they did that for a while until finally, the Industrial Revolution in the North just pretty much stomped all that out. And they didn't have the free labor anymore, so they had to pay for either whatever rudimentary machinery they had back then, or just pay labor to pick the cotton. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So they were losing money on that. So, but long story short, it ended like that's pretty much the drama of it. He pretty much fights and crawls through the woods for a few more days, likes to freeze to death. They find this guy named the Ghost of the River, and he helps them get a little more north, or I'm sorry, a little more south into Virginia, and they finally get holed up, and the guy they're staying with realizes how big the bounty is on him
Turns him in.
and turns him in. And the guide that was with him the whole time, dude, from the time he got out of DC, turned himself in. He's like, all right, they were all surrounded around the house, and he turned himself in and went outside. Well, John Wilkes Booth wasn't going to do that. He said he was going to go out fighting, that all them guys that died for the Confederacy weren't going to do so in vain. So he come outside. Well, they shot him, and the way where they shot him, it pierced his spine and it paralyzed him. So like he was still like living and breathing, but he was paralyzed.
Hmm.
And
And
his
they did, and from what I mean, for the time at least, they did everything that they could because the Secretary of War
yeah,
wanted,
yeah, he wanted him to like stand trial, like
yeah, yeah, he wanted them
do
to
things the
stand
right
trial or
way
whatever. So they did everything that they could to
to
keep him
try to
alive.
keep from that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that was everybody else got hung, tried and hung, pretty much. All the
yeah.
co-conspirators, the guy that turned himself in.
Mary got away, didn't she?
Yeah, James Surratt Jr. did too. Her son, he ended up moving, I think, to Europe. I'd have to look more into their little side stories, but yeah, he moved off to, I think, Europe, I think, and he was like part of the Italian Guard, and they turned him in and tried to extradite him back.
Yeah,
It's
he
a whole
got
mess
they.
of stuff.
So when they shot him, obviously they weren't trying to paralyze him. They were just trying to shoot him because I'm sure
Yeah, he was shooting too. I'm
he
sure
was
he had
shooting
guns too.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was in a barn, correct?
Yes, yeah.
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 So he
But
probably
yeah,
got shot through a wall and somebody just happened to hit him in the spine.
well, we did get through a start and the end of a history topic. Look at there. We was talking earlier how we wouldn't hit any points, and it'd be everywhere.
Well,
I
you
had
you did a really good job getting through it. I was thinking that one of the things that I always forget that um the farm, Garrett's farm or whatever, was in Bowling Green,
hmm
Virginia.
Yeah. So it would be like Benicio del Toro on the run now. Really
Yeah.
famous actor doing some wild shit, some real wild shit.
I know it. I must be a different assassination I'm thinking about that has like some like Rothschild, not Rothschild, Rockefeller stuff
That
going
would
on
be
with
probably
it.
William McKinley.
Yeah, there was
Maybe
something
they
else
also
that I
tried
was.
to kill, not them, they, Teddy Roosevelt had an attempted assassination on him too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, dude. It really happened. If you really go through history, we're just so like used to civilized world. Like, dude, like we haven't really been like I know we fought wars. I know people have died and stuff like in the Middle East and everywhere else. But like we're so spoiled to like non-violent ways of handling things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
until like cameras, like really people would do some wild shit. Like you just didn't say
You
whatever to
get away with
anybody.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I
Especially
think
like,
about that
I mean,
sometimes.
during the times whenever like serial killers were
Yeah.
kind of popular or big or like they
Yeah. The
were a nuisance, in the 70s and 80s because
in the
nobody,
60s and 70s. Yeah.
yeah,
There's
you,
nobody track them,
if you were, I mean, if you were legit serial killer and you didn't really know any of the people you were killing, there was really no way to tie you there unless you
tie
left
you to
something
nothing, dude.
behind.
Unless you was sloppy.
Yeah,
Unless you got
there was
lazy on them.
no way to get you.
And
Not
then
like
even
a
back then,
traffic
they didn't
camera was
have the
going to catch
tools.
you.
Yeah, or they didn't even have the tools at the crime scene to like really they could dust fingerprints. But if you're not in any database anywhere,
Yeah.
I mean, and Lord, there wasn't computers, so the
Yeah.
database they'd have to hunt down, this huge
Yeah, I
database.
was gonna say even then you could have fingerprints back then, but you would still need to have like some suspects to compare the
That's
fingerprints
what I'm
to.
saying. Like you'd have to be in the data. You would just happen to have your fingerprints. Your fingerprints. You'd already got in trouble or something, and they would have to be on file.
Yeah.
And they would just have to get lucky that they picked the right, jurisdiction or whatever to
Hmm.
like look for you. Yeah, it's just so I think that a lot of times like we just don't even like back then we don't even think about how like you know I guess words do have meaning because we get on the like people talk so much shit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
on social media, X, any of those. And, even like whenever we were younger, like if you said some out of pocket shit to somebody, like next time you seen them, chances were there was going to be a confrontation. Like
Yeah.
now you can just avoid everybody,
Hmm.
but you can still talk mad shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No
And then,
repercussions really.
yeah, and then though, but whenever something does happen, you're like, oh, well, I don't know why they did that. Like, what do you mean? You called me a cocksucker the other day on Facebook.
You said my mama's coleslaw wasn't any good.
Yeah, what the hell, dude? I said that's on site. I'm doing it on site, dude.
There's
Oh, me, but
the one thing that always pops up because there's a lot of ways to like link people to each other, like link historical figures.
yeah,
Like I think we mentioned it. I can't remember who it was, but the one that sticks out in my mind was Rittenhouse and Greta Thunberg have the same birth date,
yeah.
and like I have the same birth date as George Hog Wild Bush.
I have the same birthday as Burt Chrysler.
But there are, if you look into it enough with people, you're going to find coincidences or similarities.
Yeah,
Um, so here's just a few to kind of chew on, I guess. And most of these are, there's a bigger list than this. I'm not even going to read all of these, of similarities between Lincoln and Kennedy,
mm,
John F. Kennedy. Obviously, both of them were assassinated. Lincoln and Kennedy each have seven letters in the name.
mm.
Both presidents were elected to Congress in 46, 1846, and 1946, later to presidency in 60, 1860, and 1960.
Damn.
Both assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, were born in 39, 1839, and 1939. Both were known by their three names, composed of 15 letters each.
Damn.
Um, Booth ran from a theater, was caught in a warehouse or a barn. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. This one's kind of dumb. The assassins were both Southerners.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a large demographic of people.
That's really pushing it.
Yeah. Both of the president's successors were Democrats named Johnson, Andrew, and Lyndon B., with six-letter first names, and both of them born in '08,
Damn.
1808, and 1908.
Hmm.
Both Lincoln and Kennedy are particularly concerned with civil rights. Who cares? Both presidents were shot in the head on a Friday in the presence of their wives. This was the one that
That,
kind
that
of
civil
stuck
rights
with.
one's a big one though, because that's what gets in their feelings,
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of like a political stance. Like, somebody, you're probably going to have some thoughts on it, I guess. So it just doesn't seem like that would be like something so off the wall. Now, this one is the one that is weird to me. Lincoln had a secretary with the last name Kennedy who told him not to go to Ford's Theater that night. Kennedy had a secretary named Evelyn Lincoln, and she warned him not to go to Dallas.
Damn, dude, stay out of Dallas, dude.
Yeah, both Oswald and Booth were killed before they could be put on trial.
Mm. Yeah, I think that was.
So
I
there's
mean,
some
I know with John
similarities.
Wilkes Booth, that was by design for him. He wasn't going to prison.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think. Yeah, he was going to go out fighting.
Yeah, dude, he made his mind up that night. He went in there to Ford's Theater. I mean, can you imagine? Like, dude, he worked as pretty much by himself in that theater. Had to jump off a balcony. Like he probably knew he wasn't going to make it out of there. And
He was
so
like,
anytime after
I'm
that
going to
was,
put him on a run. If I can make it, I can make it. If
yeah,
not,
dude,
guns blazing.
guns blazing. Had a horse waiting at the door. If he made it to the horse, that's good. If not, oh well.
Yeah,
You know,
like you said, there were so many co-conspirators. I'm sure there probably were for Lee Harvey. Like we
I
all
think there would
have
have to
the
be.
who knows what happened with the JFK. There's so many people that said there's multiple shooters, multiples of everything.
Yeah.
Um, and we just know less of that because, it was easier to hush, hush,
Back
hush,
then, like we
hush.
were just saying, you could just say, "Hey, this didn't happen." They could just get rid
Yeah,
of a file. It wasn't. It didn't have a digital footprint.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then
you know what I mean.
nowadays we only know what was written down for Booth,
Like
whereas,
us with this, dude. Dude, these videos we put on YouTube every week are going to be on there until somebody takes our channel down. You know what I mean? And even then, somebody could have ripped one of them, and it'd still be out there, forever.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like 100 years from now, somebody's gonna look at this and make, dude, these guys were the smartest men to ever live on the face of the earth. If they'll just have like they'll just find like a big treasure trove of nothing but Fine by Me episodes. Like that's it. Like that's the only thing they have.
these
They're
guys
like,
really knew
dude,
what was going on.
these guys had they had a temperature on the world. They really knew
They had a finger on the
history.
heartbeat of
They're talking
America.
about stuff from the year 338 on one episode. Can you believe that? These guys must be aliens. Because at that time we'll be back in the Stone Age. See, there won't be computers and stuff. It'll just be like one old computer, old PC that they'll have like rigged up to some old battery charger that they'll be watching this on.
Yeah,
Everybody will still be working with tools again because we done blew the world up 3 times over.
yeah, yeah. We've
Yeah.
already had to restart. We're back in the Stone Age again.
Yeah, that's what Einstein said. He said, World War III will be fought with was it World War? I don't know how he says it. World War I was fought with something. World War I was fought with sticks and stones. World War II was with weapons. World War III will be done with like nuclear weapons or whatever, and then World War IV will be done with sticks and stones.
Yeah,
'Cause it'll go right back. That's totally wrongly quoted. I went
yeah.
like a 5,000 ways around that.
Who
I'm not
said
a
it?
very what they say. I don't have a articulate way of speaking.
Who said that? Who'd you say said that?
Einstein. Look
Einstein's.
up Einstein quote about world wars. See how close I was.
I know that's what I wanted to see how close you got it.
I at least have the right guy, I think. Heinrich Himmler. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh,
Dr. Mengele.
yeah. Well, I mean, it may be longer than this, but the widely circulated quote is, "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."
There we go. Yeah, that's pretty
So you
close.
just added way too much. You just
I
overthought it.
That's the exaggeration comedy factor of me. I got to make it bigger than what it was. Got to add some lies in there, you know?
But
Got to really church it up.
that is cool.
Ugh.
I've never actually heard that quote from him.
Hey, man, you learned something new on Fine by Me.
You want to know? You want to hear a quote that I heard from Nietzsche the other day? And I don't even know if this is a real quote, but I thought it was funny.
Let's hear
Hold on, I gotta find it. Ah, women, they make the highs higher and the lows more frequent.
it. We'll just leave you with that. I think it's been a good episode. I think we're right at it.
Yeah. Oh, get it. Since it won't be topical next week, um, you got some basketball news?
Oh, so LeBron James, I'm not on social media, so these guys will like send me like they'll have to like screen record TikToks so I can see them. And I got one, I think it was from Travis yesterday of LeBron James, like it's like this dramatic him walking into this room to sit down to do an interview, and it was like the wait is almost over or something. And like I think it's like the second video he's done. Like I didn't see the first one. I don't know if there's a first one, but this has been like a what is it? Like plot he's been kind of like working
Oh,
on. So today it comes out that he's released his own brand of Hennessy. This has been the leading up. He's not retiring. So everybody's like, dude, I've done like moved my whole fantasy draft around for basketball, thinking this dude was going to retire, and now I got to fix it again and all this stuff. And people are like, geez, what we need now is another shitty Hennessy.
yeah. I was
I've
just,
never drank Hennessy before, believe it or not.
I remember there were several things. This is a terrible image for some reason. There were several things that whenever I worked at the liquor store, I would see people buy all the time. And
Yeah.
I was like, I've got it. Like, I would just take one of the shooters off the wall just to
Yeah.
try it. And I was like, why is anybody drinking this?
It's like really sweet, isn't it? It's kind of like caramel.
I don't mean you're talking about me doing something 14 years ago. I don't even
I've heard it's
remember.
like pretty comparative, like brandy, you know?
But yeah, so this is a very pixelated
Yeah,
image. The
that's
decision
the
of all
picture.
decisions,
Right,
October
yeah, that's
7th,
it.
12 p.m.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah,
I
and
gotta
he's
get up out of
like
bed.
this most serious thing. And there, funny enough, there's a white guy on the other side. Is he about to tell him, hey, I got some new Hennessy coming out. Maybe you whites will like it.
You will love this Hennessy.
But yeah, it's so wild that he made this look all like, I mean, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, dude, I think it's just like, how much money do you need? Like, dude, like, I get it, but like, why all this like pomp and circumstance or whatever for like just another product?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Do
mean?
you really
Like,
need to put this out?
what's he gonna do when he retires? Like, is he gonna like jump from an airplane? You
Nah,
know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
surely he'll be a coach or at least an
Speaking
owner.
of, this is dark jump from airplane. Apparently, yesterday
Kobe?
in Middle Tennessee, no, in Middle Tennessee, yesterday or the day before, you know how whenever you go on a skydiving adventure, I've never been, but they say you have to like jump with the instructor the first couple times, like
Mm-hmm.
tandem. Well, they left at a John Thune Airport down there in Middle Tennessee and went up. Well, they jumped out. You know, the 35-year-old instructor had been doing it a million times, and the guy with him. Well, they come loose in the middle of the air somehow. Well, the instructor ended up without the parachute, and the new student parachute thrill seeker deployed the parachute. He still had it deployed. They found him in some trees. He was fine. And they found the other guy in a cornfield. Not
Dang.
good. They took him forever to find the guy, apparently. So that's,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure. I mean, it's a needle in a haystack out there.
Yeah, dude.
Needle in a
Terrible.
cornfield.
Terrible. But yeah, had done it countless times, you know. You
Yeah.
know what they say, don't jump out of an airplane without a parachute.
Yeah. One of the things on that, like, that tragedy, there's a video of this, and you don't see anything terrible happen, but there's a 19-year-old that was parasailing. And it
Ugh.
says, like the headline I read said that she had like a panic attack or something, and you just watch her in the video, just like start unhooking things like frantically,
Dude,
and then she
golly.
just falls out,
Fall.
obviously, because she's not hooked in anymore, and she died. Like,
God, that's terrible. I remember
yeah,
you watching those parasailing videos of like along like the beach and like the high-rise condos and stuff, and like the wind catching it and like slamming people into the
I
buildings.
haven't ever
Like
seen that, but I'm going to YouTube that because it sounds
YouTube it.
kind of.
They're out there. They are out there. They're there. Could you imagine out there trying to throw bread to seagulls, and next thing you know, somebody snatches a piece of bread out of the sky? It's a parasailer. I remember one time, dude, we went my senior year trip to Panama City Beach. A bunch of me and my buddies got a hotel room, and we started throwing bread. Like our last day there, we had a bunch of bread, chips, and shit. We were like the 12th floor, and there was a pool in the middle, so like everybody could see us. So we were throwing bread, dude. Seagulls was like coming in the room, dude, shitting on everything, dude. It was a disaster. It turned into like Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, like real quick. And finally, it was like everybody was looking up at us and screaming from like the pool. Like there was birds just swarming the balcony. Yeah, nuts. Anyway,
I haven't been anywhere with like a beach or anything, and
I haven't been to the
it's
beach
probably
in a
been
while.
3 or 4 years probably since I've been to a beach.
I want to go to the
Going
mountains.
to Mexico next week. Never been.
Mexico.
Never been.
Yeah, we'll have one more Zoom and then we'll be back in person for y'all. So
Yeah, so you're hearing this now. Next week,
we'll
we're going to
also
record
be
another episode at some point
one of these.
for next week.
Yep.
A little behind the scenes. And we haven't done a little behind the scenes,
We haven't.
inside baseball, as we call
We're
it.
being intimate right now. We're getting real intimate with y'all. Letting y'all know how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, how the cookie crumbles. Nick probably back here in a couple weeks or so. I was going to say,
Yeah.
because we're going to have to be, because he's still going to be gone whenever we record this one for next week.
Yes, he is. He's up there breaking out of the zoo.
I think we've done it.
I think it's a good episode. Thank y'all for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the Patreon. Me and Travis got some real Fine by Me spooky seasons come out. Nick's, we've been doing the What the Truck. We've done a couple of those.
More coming whenever.
Wes, you been doing any more metal pirate ship?
They a bunch of the guys I do that with just went to not Furnace Fest, Louder Than Life. I plan on doing like a recap with them. We just haven't done it yet.
Y'all stay tuned for that. And
Cutley's got I don't.
Oh yeah.
I
I don't know if we want to do any press for this yet. We might have him on for some press next week or something. Next time.
Cutley's got something in the works. We'll maybe let him talk about it.
Yeah, there we go. Well, thank y'all for listening, watching, whatever you're doing.
All right.
We'll holler at you.
Love y'all guys. This has been
Fine
by me. Love y'all. Take it easy.
For watching the show.
West Coast,